today we have to try to cover at least 8 questions. Okay, that's our target. Yes, and you will be writing 2 questions. Yes, I'll be taking the doubts after the session only. So whatever doubts you have to type it. And after the session, I will take the doubts for half an hour. Okay? So that the productivity of the class remains fullest. Okay? Okay. So, okay, let's start. We were doing one more thing. When I ask you to write the answer, during that time, try to turn on your camera and try to write. Because in that 7 minutes, I can see how many of you are actually writing. Okay? Okay. So let's start. We were on the fundamental rights or the salient features part of the polity, where we were covering the topics from the preamble to fundamental rights. Okay. Ideally, from fundamental rights, what they generally do is either they ask a static question. Okay. जैसे okay. So from fundamental rights, what UPSC generally does is either they will ask you a static question. For example, this right to movement and reside. This is completely static. In this particular question, there is no analytical part. Or what they can do is they will ask you the analytical question. Mostly it will be related either to Article 19 or either to Article 21. Okay. In last 8 years, what they have basically done is they have asked 2 questions on Article 21 only, and both of them were linked to the right to privacy. Okay. But apart from right to privacy, next year you can also expect an analytical question on some part of Article 19. So in 2022, they had asked a static question on right to movement that was completely static, but you can get an analytical question with respect to the right to freedom of speech and expression. Okay. They can link it to any of the aspect. So freedom of speech and expression is also linked to right to remain silent. It is also linked to the right or freedom of press. Right. The right to internet is also intrinsically linked to freedom of speech and expression. Then informed citizenry is also linked to freedom of speech and expression. So this was given in context of RTI. Okay. Further, they can also link it to the censorship. So these are the things that you need to cover, because next year from Article 19, they can ask you with respect to these dimensions. And again, if they decide to ask with respect to the Article 21, again, environment, they have already asked, gender justice, they have already asked, right to privacy, they have asked twice. So again, right to internet, they can ask, or right to choice. This was also in news in context of the love jihad. Okay. Recently, UP has also passed the law with respect to the love jihad. And Supreme Court has given the judgment with respect to the right to choice being intrinsic to right to life and personal liberty. Okay. So you have to keep watch on the Supreme Court judgments and how they have linked it to the different fundamental rights. Okay. Then coming to the answer writing aspect of it, mostly you can use the pastel framework. Okay. First of all, with respect to the introduction, the one aspect of doing it is you can link it to the constitutional provisions. That is the part 3 of the constitution and its objective, that is to ensure the political democracy. Second, you can use it or link it to the court also. Okay. Third, if the question has the current affairs linkage, so in case of the current affairs linkage, you can give the contextual introduction. That is the recent SC judgment or recent news. Okay. In main body, to generate the points, if they have asked you the significance of it, you can use the pestle framework. Okay. And with respect to the again issues, either pies or pits. Okay, pies as in political, institutional, economic, social, and T will involve technological. That is, if the question is right to internet, so in that case, you can use these 3 technological dimensions. Okay, you can also add the digital divide, etc. as well. Okay, and then way forward, our common framework, which is the stakeholder framework, which we use for the way forward. So from government perspective, what they need is strengthening law, implementing safeguards, ensuring inclusive policies so that the positive liberty envisioned under the Indian Constitution can be realized. Okay, from judicial perspective, ensure speedy justice, that is access to justice, and creative constitutionalism. Okay, again, just last lecture also I told you to focus upon the keywords because you also have to develop the vocabulary, right? You can also talk about the judicial restraint. Okay, then civil society and media, their role is act as watchdog on executive. Then with respect to the awareness for informed citizenry. Okay, and mobilize for reforms, that is civil activism. Okay, private sector, protection of the privacy, then use of CSR. From citizens' perspective, rights carry with them the duties. Okay, so exercising of the rights responsibly, promoting constitutional morality and citizen participation or participatory governance. From this perspective, you can generate the points. And with respect to the conclusion, again, you can use the quote of Benjamin Franklin, or what you can do is you can link it with the government policy objectives or visions like Atmanirbhar Bharat, political democracy, as well as socio-economic justice or ideals in the yearbucks. Okay, this is your broader answer writing framework on the fundamental rights. But if you see the questions are very specific. And that's why having the hold over the static is very important. Fundamental rights related जितने भी current issues है, I have covered them comprehensively in our expected notes. ठीक है, तो करंट वाले इशू में आपको कोई इशू नहीं आएगा, but you need to have the hold over the static part of the fundamental rights. ठीक है, now let's write one answer and then I will ask you to write the second one, which is the factual one. Okay. So the first, the Constitution of India is a living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. It is a constitution made for progressive society, illustrate with special reference to the expanding horizons of right to life and personal liberty. Okay. Now, just take 1 minute and tell me what can be the or what would be the ideal structure for this particular question, or what are the demands in this particular question. Okay, just raise your hand. I will unmute you. I'm just giving 1 minute. In 1 minute, whoever raise their hand, I will give them a chance. Otherwise, after that, I will start writing. Yes, just brainstorm over it. Okay. Yes. Unmute and Anubhav, you can unmute and ask. Yes.
Okay, you can start with the quote by B.R. Ambedkar that it is a living document, and then we can go ahead with the pastel framework, and then we can
Just give
interpret.
me the headings, not the points. I just
Okay, yeah.
want the headings. The first
So
step is developing the structure. That is, what would be your headings in the answer.
the
Okay.
first heading would be I would be starting off with the quote, and then I would be going ahead with the uh, how politically it has grown, political growth, economic growth.
No, 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 no,
Uh,
no, 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 no. Okay. Tavishi, you can unmute and tell.
Yeah, so first is like a quote by B.R. Ambedkar. Second, implicit demand, we can create a Constitution of India as a living doc instrument. Implicit demand, we can do it. And third one, we can like create a diagram sort of like how Constitution has like helped in the progressive society and various dimensions. Like these are two implicit demands. And then the last one, expanding horizons of right to life and liberty with all the cases like right to life, right to livelihood, and all those things with the Supreme Court cases.
Perfect. So that is your structure. Okay. If you see, you are elaborating on each and every keyword of the question. That's it. Okay. Now remember, you are getting these kinds of the question a lot. Okay. Where in the second part they are asking you to with special reference, etc. So in that case, what students are doing is they are focusing on the second aspect excessively, and they are ignoring the first part. Okay. So give the equal weightage to the first part also. So the structure that she has given is completely correct. We will be following with the same structure. Now the only thing I want to ask is, so the expanding horizons of the right to life and personal liberty, how are we going to explain it? So you told me through the Supreme Court judgments. Any other way? Yes, any other way with which we can elaborate upon expanding horizons of right to life and personal liberty? Yes, Rohit.
So there are also expansion of articles like right to education.
Yes, exactly. Correct. So it is not just through the Supreme Court interpretations, it is also through the amendments, right? So we will be covering both the aspects. Now let's start writing. So Constitution as a living instrument. So if you see in our notes, or if you have read our notes, sorry, this is not this. The salient features. This is with respect to the Constitution as a living document. Equality, equality. I think it is in the nature of the person. Okay. So that is Constitution as a living document. Yes. This is our notes. What we have done, we have started with the Woodrow Wilson. We have the code given. We will be using the same. Okay, this is how your notes has to be reflected into your answers. Then only you get marks. Okay. Write with me. Okay. First of all, as a living instrument, we'll provide a one single sentence. Okay. a living constitution. What is the meaning of living constitution? Or what is the opposite of living constitution? That is the rigid constitution or rigid textualism. Right? A living constitution rejects or rigid textualism and evolves with, and then you simply mention as per Woodrow Wilson. As it is a scholar, we will box it. Living political institution must be Darwinian in structure and in practice. Okay, so this is our introduction, which we have taken directly from the notes. Okay. Then the first part, as a living instrument with dynamism. So constitution is living instrument with dynamism. Okay, as it is explained, implicit demand, we will be just using a flow chart, right? What is the, or how constitution has become the living instrument? Again, we have given it into the notes itself. One, expanding interpretations of fundamental rights, right? Second, judicial doctrines. Example, basic structure. What is the third way? Like I mentioned, through amendments. Right. Example, 73rd, and any amendment you can mention, or 42nd also you can mention, or you can mention the recent also. Okay. So this is how constitution is a living document. Okay. It is living because it has been changed through progressive interpretation. Yeah. Right to privacy. Then judicial doctrines like basic structure doctrine, doctrine of pith and substance, any doctrine you can mention. And third, through amendments. Second part is constitution made for progressive society, right? So constitution made for progressive society. Now you have to generate the points from the perspective of the progressive society, right? So what are the key pillars of progressive society? Yes. How can we classify the points under the progressive society? See, one way of doing it is either we can talk about the stakeholders, that is from the perspective of the women, gender equality or gender justice, from the perspective of the tribals, that is protection of multicultural rights, right? Then from the perspective of the children, then from the perspective of the downtrodden sections, Okay, that is abolition of the untouchability, etc. That is one way of doing stakeholders. Second, we can do it from the perspective of the principles given in the preamble. That is through equality, justice, liberty. Okay, both of them are fine. Okay, we will follow this. Okay, so equality, justice, and liberty. So liberty is, equality is, we can talk about social equality. What are the provisions providing for the social equality? Article 15 and 16, 20. Just remember this framework. Discrimination. Article 17, abolition of untouchability. Second aspect of it, political equality. Example, universal adult franchise. The third aspect is with respect to the gender justice. Right, what are the provisions for the gender justice? One, reservation. Under 73rd and 74th Amendment. Okay, one point is fine. What else are the nature of progressive society? Okay. Fourth, from the perspective of the justice, social justice. That is welfare state provision. Under DPSP. And last, secularism and simply secularism to promote or based upon Sarva Dharma Samabhav, to promote unity in diversity. You can generate the points based upon the stakeholder points. That is also completely fine. Then we will come to the core demand of the question, special reference to expanding horizons of right to life and personal body. So again, classification aspect, expanding horizons of right to life, or I will simply write article 21. And under it, I will be classifying the points under one, two, judicial interpretation. Right. Here you can write the case laws which are given into the notes. So first, for the right to livelihood in Yuga tennis case. Okay. So what they have basically done is linked livelihood to dignity. Okay. Second, again, जो भी हमारे right to education, in immigration judgment. This was in, I think, 1993. Waived the before right to immigration. Third, you have a right to privacy. Second, and Swami judgment or Aadhaar judgment. Linking privacy to liberty. Okay. D, right to clean environment. Right to clean environment, you have the recent judgment also. For the first time, it has been recognized in the Subhash Kumar case of 1991. E, right to die with dignity. Held passive euthanasia. And common laws case, which is also known as Aruna Shanbag case. Okay, you have then right to marry person of choice as part of right to revolt. And what is the case? Shafil Chahra. Yes. What else? A recent right to internet access. Yeah. For speech, trade, and education. And Anuradha the same. Right. Which one we missed? Environment is there. This dignity is there. Okay. You can add the Navtej Singh Johar also. Let's look at them. Yes. What is Navtej Singh Johar case? Yes. Navtej Singh Johar case is related to? Yes. Where is that? Yes. Decriminalizing homosexuality. And upholding dignity of, or upholding dignity, that much is free. Okay. And then we'll come to the second part, expanding horizons through amendments. Okay. Expanding horizons. Oh, sorry. We have prepared the structure in this, through judicial interpretation. So it will come through constitutional. What are the two major amendments? Yes, 86th. Amendment Act of 2002 added Article 21B. That's right to compulsory education for children between 6 What is the second one? Yes, 44th constitutional amendment. You write full form, which this limitations or imposed limitations on emergency powers. Ensuring that Article 20 and 21 are not suspended. Even ठीक है? Yes. 42nd won't come. 106th also you can add, yes. 106th is also good addition. See. No. 106th won't come because even though it has been linked to the gender justice, it is not part of Article 21. Okay. We have to mention only those amendments which are directly related to the Article 21. Okay. This much is the only answer that we can give for this particular. So even if you see, okay, this was not one of the easiest of the questions, but the formula, that is to focus upon the keyword of the question. अब जो normal beginner aspirants होते हैं, what they would have done, उनको फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल डिमांड ही क्वेश्चन की समझ नहीं आई होंगी, तो उनका नॉर्मल इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इज कि स्पेशल रेफरेंस टू एक्सपांडिंग हॉराइजंस ऑफ राइट टू लाइफ एंड लिबर्टी. सो सिर्फ एक्सपांडिंग हॉराइजंस बता दो, दैट इज देयर इंटरप्रिटेशन. ठीक है, इवन विद इन दैट दे वोंट टॉक अबाउट द अमेंडमेंट्स, इट विल जस्ट जजमेंट्स. बट एज अ लिविंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट, as a progressive society, if you do that, at least one page will be done by that. Second page you can give the judgments. Third page you can add that, and then you can conclude. So again, conclusion me you can use the same judgment or the quote which we have given in our answer writing framework, or here there is that. I have given one quote of the Greenwell Austin. You can use that quote on itself. Okay. So as, or you can provide one concluding remark that through its dynamism ठीक है constitution has been transformed into progressive charter of ठीक है remember this keyword this you can use it into your introduction itself ठीक है so as Greenwell Austin जो कोड दिया है constitution is a social document aiming at transforming the society through law that also you can conclude with ठीक है ये clear है even if you see the points so 3 points here 5 points but here there are 2 sub points so it will be 6 and 3 9 plus so here 8 so it is 6 plus 3 12 plus 8 20 plus 2 22 points we were able to cover okay and in this particular answer you have to get at least 8 because it has everything it has quote it has scholars it has judgments it has amendments and it has addressed each and every keyword from the question okay now next it is also a similar question okay right to privacy is intrinsic to life and personal liberty and is inherently protected under Article 21 of the Constitution. Explain. Yes, transformative constitutionalism also you can use. Challenges way forward also you can use. You simply make a table. So challenges and way forward दो दे दो that can also be used. ठीक है. Again वो optional है जैसे मैंने कहा. Going beyond the demand is always the optional. Now, right to privacy is intrinsic to life and personal liberty and inherently protected under Article 21. Explain in this reference, discuss law relating to DNA testing of the child in the womb to establish its paternity. ठीक है. Again, quickly 1 minute and tell me the headings. Just raise your hand. What will be the headings? Okay, who's that? Pratik, yes.
Yes, sir. So first of all, we will start with the definition as to what is right to privacy. Then inherently protected. What does that mean? Article 21. Then
What does that mean?
sorry, sir, I
What?
didn't get it.
What does that mean? You told me, na, कि the first part would be
Hmm.
inherently protected, right? Okay, ठीक है. Next, after that,
Yeah. Then so it says laws relating to DNA testing. So maybe 1 or 2 points about that. Then because we don't have a lot, we will go into detail of the rationale or why we even need DNA Testing Act.
ठीक है.
And then finally issues and way forward.
Okay. So the first of all, let me give you one fact. India doesn't have any law which grants the DNA testing. ठीक है. It is generally granted by either the higher courts or by the family courts.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है. That. So no specific provision in any of the laws. Okay. So let me tell you. ये थोड़ा सा tricky question है. First of all, right to property is intrinsic to right to life and personal liberty and is inherently protected under Article 21. ठीक है. Next, explain in this reference discuss law relating to the DNA testing. Forget about this. Here, as they have asked it to explain. So the first statement is also your explicit demand. So you have to also explain how right to privacy is intrinsic to right to life and liberty and how it is protected. ठीक है? So अगर if you have read the notes or if you have simple understanding, basically what they are asking is the scope of right to privacy. Okay, is intrinsic to right to life and personal liberty basically means they are asking the different aspects of right to privacy, which we have already covered into our notes. And second, it is protected under Article 21 means it is protected under Article 32 to 26. And second, the proportionality test that Supreme Court had set in Puthuswamy judgment. Right? That we had to explain. Okay? Now, let's start. So right to privacy is intrinsic to life and personal liberty. Again, one thing that is you can give the Puthuswamy judgment as the introduction. Okay? Or in the fundamental rights, what I had given is while covering right to privacy, I had also given you the quote. This is right to protest, right to privacy. Privacy is the constitutional core of human dignity. A simple quote. You can use the same as the introduction. Okay. So, privacy. Write with me. Privacy is the constitutional core of human dignity, justice, ठीक है? And then you give. See, normally क्या होता है कि when you get such kind of the questions where you don't have much of the content in the main body. So in such cases, what you do is you just extend your introduction and conclusions. थोड़ा सा lengthy introduction and conclusions दे दो. अगर आप टॉपर्स के भी आंसर्स देखोगे तो जहां पे उनके पास कंटेंट होता है वहां पे इंट्रोडक्शंस एंड कंक्लूजन्स काफी छोटे होते हैं, बट जहां पे नहीं होता है देयर व्हाट दे डू, दे स्ट्रेच देयर इंट्रोडक्शंस. ठीक है, सेम क्वेश्चन है एंड हियर आल्सो इफ यू सी. ठीक है, ऐसे क्लियर है. दिस इज AR3. तो again, that is the smart way of dealing with the question. So we won't stop just by giving the quote. We'll also be a C in Puthuswamy judgment declared right to privacy intrinsic to the right to life and security under. And then we simply come to the first part, is intrinsic to right to life and personal liberty. So right to privacy intrinsic to Article 21. Then the scope of right to privacy. ठीक है, so first जो भी उसके points मैंने notes में दिए है, same points will come. Information privacy. What are the examples of information privacy? Protection of data, Aadhaar details, medical records, right? Second aspect is decisional autonomy, right? What is the example of decisional autonomy? One, right to choose partner, or this Navtej Singh Johar of decriminalizing homosexuality, which is part of their right to privacy. ठीक है, third, bodily privacy. इसका example reproductive. You can if you know the judgment name, you can mention the judgment also. Sucheta Srivastava case, reproductive rights of women. What else? What more is included into the privacy? Yes, the marriage and relationships. Yeah. Example, Supreme Court judgments on live-in relationships or the Shafeen Jahan case. Right. And last, digital privacy. Okay. Example. What is the example of digital privacy? Yes. The Aadhaar judgment, which is Puttuswamy judgment also, or you can also give the Shreya single case. Okay. So protection against state surveillance. The example will be Shreya. Any other aspect of the privacy? Yes. Any other aspect that we can, phone tapping also? Yes. Sahyog portal. That also you can mention. Yes. No, information privacy doesn't have to be digital only. Okay. Right to be forgotten data, right to be forgotten also you can mention. Yes, that also you can mention. So here you can make the second point also. Right to be forgotten also. Okay. Next, these many points are fine, 5 points. Then protected under right to privacy, Article 21. Okay, so protection of right to privacy. Okay, so one under Article 32 and 226. SC and the courts can issue writs for enforcement. Second, the reasonable restrictions with safeguards. Okay. That is test of proportionality. Yeah. What are the aspects? One. No, this will come here. Test of proportionality, which involves legality, legitimacy, or in and third, proportionality. No need to elaborate, even if you do that is fine. Because it is inherently protected under right to privacy. Third, now you come to this. In this reference, discuss the law relating to the DNA test. Child. Okay. So first, rather than directly giving the heading, if you try to make it organic, because we are shifting directly to the second demand of the question. So in India, law relating to or DNA testing of child to establish unity are generally ordered by okay. This then you can again discuss what they have said is discuss. So what we will be doing, arguments in okay. What are the arguments in favor of DNA testing? Yes. Yes, BNSS, DNA thing, that also you can mention. But generally it is done by the family courts only. Okay. Now give me the arguments in favor to establish paternity. High accuracy identity determination. Okay. Genetic abnormalities won't come because they have mentioned the objective to establish paternity. Evidence in courts. Okay, you are close. It's simple. It is to establish truth. Right. So truth and justice. Right. How it is ensures truth and justice? Through or ensures scientific accuracy in or resolving maternity issues. Secondly, why courts order the paternity test? Again, justice is one aspect, establishing truth is second aspect. Yes, no, right to health is not there. Disputes is there, we have mentioned the disputes. No? One aspect is dispute, that is to do the justice. The second aspect is to prevent the misuse and frauds. ठीक है, so false claims and inheritance, custody. ठीक है, और जब कुछ भी आपको पॉइंट नहीं आता है, ठीक है, ऑलवेज इफ यू आर गिविंग इट इन favor of the arguments, or in if you are talking about the arguments in favor, then always link it with in line with global best practices. ठीक है, so global UN Child Rights Commission's recognition of rights of child, right of child to know right. Upheld UNCRC's rights of child to know the parent. ठीक है, then again helps in criminal investigation related to rape. ठीक है, so this increases convictions. Again, you have to generate the points based upon the common sense only. आपने जितनी भी मूवीज वगैरह देखे होंगे, फ्रॉम देयर इटसेल्फ डिसीजेस नहीं आएगा इसमें, ठीक है, डिसीजेस नहीं आएगा. द क्वेश्चन दे हैव स्पेसिफिकली आस्क्ड यू अबाउट द this to establish the paternity. They have specifically asked it. They haven't asked it with respect to the diseases, etc. ठीक है, that. Then second, these points are not related to the privacy. This is, we are giving the arguments in favor of that law. Second, when we'll talk about arguments against, so if you see, recently Supreme Court has given the judgment where they have asked the family courts to be cautious while evidence in divorce cases also, but divorce cases also, yes. Okay, during that cases what they have asked is to the family courts to be very cautious to balance the privacy of the parents. Okay, so arguments against is one, privacy of parents has forced DNA testing goes against right parents. ठीक है, and recently Supreme Court has held that SC has held that DNA can't be held or can't be used for moving inquiries or paternity. Okay, this is the recent Supreme Court observation. Yes, second, again, right to privacy is also linked to the right to dignity, privacy and dignity also involves bodily autonomy. Right, and right to left alone. Okay, forced DNA testing intrude into this or hampers the right to left alone. And third, DNA reveals very essence of a person. Yeah. It is part of right to privacy under Article 21. It is also given by the Supreme Court. Okay. Next, again, the privacy of this is one parent. This is with respect to children. Again, the right DNA testing can also be used to harass a woman. Okay, or the mother's dignity and privacy needs to be upheld. Okay, that. Then from the perspective of the child only. Okay, so the dignity and privacy of child needs to be recognized as DNA testing in womb. One important aspect of the privacy, if you have read the Aadhaar Act, etc., you will find one important aspect of it is the consent. Yeah, in womb is done without consent. Yeah, these many points are sufficient. Okay. Recently, the Supreme Court has come out with the doctrine of eminent need and last resource. Okay. Thus, doctrine of eminent need and last resort is essential to balance child's right to privacy, sorry, child's right to identity and parents' privacy. Okay, here also if you see, during that time, majority of them wouldn't be knowing the content for the second part of the question. But for the first part of the question, you can stretch to the maximum. Yes, undermine the principle of natural justice also. Social stigma also you can mention. Yes, right. Misuse sex selection, sex selective abortion under grab of DNA testing, that also you can mention. Yes. Yes, against the consent of the child at stake. Very good. Bodily autonomy also very good. Okay. So these are the points. Here also if you see, as we have given the equal weightage for the second part. अगर आप देखोगे तो for the first part also we have given 1.5 page because that is also the core demand, and second part entire 1 page. Okay, and in terms of the points also 9 plus 11 and around 16 to 17 points are there. Okay, which is our target for the 15 marker question. ये clear है? Okay. Next, this is a very simple static question. that you will be writing. Okay, so under what circumstances? Now, first of all, you turn on your cameras, everyone, please. Then we'll write. Okay, fast, quick. Turn on your cameras. Yes. Everyone. Okay, chalo. So this is the question that you will be writing. Okay. Under what circumstances can the financial emergency be proclaimed by President of India, and what consequences follow when such declaration remain in force? You have to fill both the pages. It is 607. You have 7 minutes. That is 6:14 or 6:15. Chalo. Stop writing. So how many of you were able to finish the answer? Don't turn off your camera. Let it. Okay, how many of you were able to finish the answer? Okay, one, just one. How many of you were not able to finish the answer? Let me answer in that way. Unable to write conclusion. Okay. Okay. How many of you face the difficulty in filling both the pages? किसके दोनों pages भर चुके हैं इस particular answer में? How many of you filled both the pages? Okay, 7 people. Good. Okay, chalo. Let's compare your answer with my answer. Okay. One more interesting thing, how many of you, just tell me honestly. So if you see, this is a straightforward question. There are clear two demands, that is circumstances under which financial emergency can be proclaimed, and second, consequences. So beyond these two, how many of you went beyond the demand or generated any third heading? Anyone? Okay, Nandini, what was your third heading? You can unmute and tell.
Sir, after introducing with Article 360, I have included other emergencies, for example,
Okay.
national emergency and president rule.
ठीक है, that is also fine, but okay, it will give you 0.2 extra. Recommendations, there are no recommendations for financial emergency as such. ठीक है, कभी भी जब चलो let's see. ठीक है, so first of all, introduction again कि along with the article. ठीक है, if you see क्वेश्चन का डिमांड देख के आपको पता हो जाना चाहिए था कि यार 2 pages फिल करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. So you stretch your introduction a bit. Rather than 3 lines, you give it a 4 lines. So framers of the Indian Constitution, okay, drawing the inspiration from the instability during the colonial times, okay, provided for the financial emergency under Article 360 as an insurance mechanism. It was called as such by Ambedkar. That is the introduction. Okay, then the next static part, circumstances for proclamation. If president is satisfied. 38, how many of you mentioned 38th amendment and 44th amendment? Anyone? Again, it is not strictly yes, perfect, good. Then proclamation must be approved. Once approved, it remains in force till revoked by president. That is fine. Then consequences. So union control over state finances, state money bills, reduction in salaries, binding union directives, and parliament. Yeah. So this is the core demand of the question. ठीक है? But what you have to do is, even if it is a static question, ठीक है, at the end, briefly, just give one heading where you give the analysis of financial emergency. Okay, just two points, that is the need and criticism. ठीक है, मैंने यहाँ पे 4 points दिए, but there is no need. 2 maximum देने, because we have to finish. This is we are going beyond the demand. This is just 20%. जैसे कल भी हमने एक क्वेश्चन में दिया था at the end, right, कि where I think it was again with respect to the right to privacy KE related tha. Now at the end we gave the analysis of it. So when the static questions comes, at the end briefly give the analysis, that it's the need and criticism, and 2 point बस मैंने 4 दिए हैं just for your understanding. What are those? Economic stability, fiscal discipline, quick response, emergency provisions ही होते हैं quick response during emergency, right? Then prevent financial irresponsibility by states. And way forward again, too broad and vague grounds, जैसे आपका president satisfaction is too broad or vague, right? Then as it is leads to the unitary nature, it is threat to the federalism or the state autonomy or weakens fiscal federalism and potential for misuse. 2 ही देने हैं आपको, 4 नहीं देने. This is going to be your X factor. ठीक है? How will I know that here I need to go beyond? First of all, if you are not able to fill the pages. ठीक है? Second of all, if it is a completely static questions. If it is a completely static question. Okay. One more example we will try. Yeah, and then the presidential emergency and national emergency, that comparative analysis I have provided in the conclusion. कि unlike presidential emergency and national emergency, financial emergency has remained dead letter in 75 years of the republic. ठीक है? Emergency provisions were aimed at they were envisioned to be a dead letter as an insurance or precautionary measure. But both national and presidential emergency were imposed. Only financial emergency was never imposed. Okay? But similarly, you can attempt this question. This is your this. अब यहाँ पे भी आ गई ये क्वेश्चन हमने कल किया था कि डू यू थिंक Constitution does not accept strict separation, rather principle of checks and balance. At the end, we gave the reasons for adoption of checks and balance. Similarly, यहाँ पे भी analysis you can do. This is the right to movement and residence throughout the territory of India are freely available to Indian citizens, but these rights are not absolute. ठीक है? ये आंसर हम एकदम एंड में लिखेंगे. Just remember, because here also what you have to give right to movement and residence, and then not absolute. Again, it is completely as a static. That's ये हम एकदम end में लिखेंगे. I'll give you 7 minutes. Now, last question from this particular topic is account for the legal and political factors responsible for the reduced frequency of using Article 356 by Union government since 1990s. Okay, if you see the demands also, it is very simple, and they have given the dimensions also. The legal factors responsible for reduced use, political factor responsible for the reduced use. Okay, it's very simple. All you have to give is, but it is a 15 marker question. Okay, you have to fill the 3 pages. Okay, through legal and political factors. Now tell me what can be the most relevant introduction. I'm giving you the options. One, quote, because we have the quote in the previous answer. Okay, the same economic during the colon provided for the यहाँ पे सिर्फ presidential emergency under article 356 you can write. ठीक है, that or you can simply give article 356. ठीक है, or for this particular question, the most relevant would be, yes, which one would be quote या फिर static article 356 या फिर is there any third option available? Yes, data. If you have, what data do you have? Data. Yes. Okay. What they have asked ki reduced frequency of using. That means what they are asking basically, they are linking it to the current affairs. Earlier, it used to be used very frequently. So that is going to be our introduction. Okay. So how are you, or how are we going to introduce this particular answer? Yes. Okay. So first we'll give the again a standard article 356 provides for presidential emergency in case of failure of constitutional machinery in the okay. Then you give the data. So between 1950 to 1991, it was imposed for more than 90 days. However, its frequency has reduced. This is how we are just rephrasing the question. Reduced frequency of using Article 356 by Indian government since mid-1990s. So mid-1990s means post LPG. However, its frequency has reduced post. Okay. So this is one way of introducing. The alternate way for this particular is, okay, all of you have written this particular introduction. I am giving the alternative way. Okay. Okay. This. Then what I would have done is Ambedkar expected it to be a dead letter. However, but it became core pillar of confrontation mechanism. Okay. And in this box, what I would do is, like, this is what Medha Anand used to do. Okay. So fact file is between 1950 to 1990. Article 356 was used more than 20 times. ठीक है, both of these ways are fine. ठीक है, जो दोनों इंट्रोडक्शन हमने लिखे हैं, both of them are fine. ठीक है, both are equally enriching. ऐसा नहीं है कि this one is better. Both are fine. I'm just giving you one option because this scheme of fact file will be using a lot when we will do the governance की जहाँ पे भी हमें data डालना है. ठीक है, this. Now what we can do? Yes, the next part. So before that, what we will do is, rather than directly jumping to the legal and political factors, we'll briefly add the static part. Okay, that is grounds for imposition of precedents. Yeah, as this is not the core demand, we will address it very briefly. Okay, this. What are the grounds? Yes. What are the grounds? Article 356. If state government is not carried as per Constitution, second Article 365. If state fails to comply with union's directive. What else? Yes. Anything else? That center direction is failure of constitutional machinery. Yes. Okay. Article 365 we have mentioned. Okay. That. Then you come to the legal factors behind reduced. Okay. So what are the legal factors? Yes. Yes. What are the legal factors? One though we have already covered into previous answer itself. 44th Amendment Act, very good. Okay. 44th Amendment Act. Reversed 38th Amendment, which prevented judicial review. Okay. What else? Yes. Judicial review under the basic doctrine. Okay, what else? Law Commission recommendation is not illegal. Okay. What is the judgment which transformed the center SR Bommai judgment? What Supreme Court has declared in SR Bommai judgment? Yes. Rameshwar Prasad is also there. Yes, you can mention that also. Okay. So Supreme Court, first of all, declared federalism as a basic structure and provided guidelines. Okay. So these guidelines needed to be highlighted. Yeah. So जैसे A, proclamation is subjected to judicial review for second, the floor test only. Okay, that is majority should be decided on the floor of the house and not by discretion of the board. Okay, then third aspect, assembly cannot be dissolved before parliamentary. So these are the guidelines that Supreme Court set. Okay, and these guidelines were for these guidelines were enforced in subsequent judgments like Nabam India case. ठीक है, ये clear है? Rameshwar Prasad also you can add. Yes. ठीक है. Cooperative federalism, yes, as basic structure. Federalism is basic structure. Yes, we have already mentioned. So guidelines जो है वो guidelines हमें base. Then last legal factor, one of the see statute is not the only basis for the law. Constitutional conventions are also there. Because one another point, development of constitutional convention that article 356 as a last. Okay, then these are the only things. इसके beyond ज़्यादा है भी नहीं, legal factors. Okay, then you come to the political factors where the actual game begins. So political. So what are the core political factors that you can think of? Yes. What are the core political factors? Strength of regional parties in Rajya Sabha, okay. Coalition government. The first, rise of coalition governments at ठीक है. So ये yeah, this yes, coalition government. What else? So the or dependent upon support of regional. What else? Hmm. Hmm. Simple, it is center and state having some parties, government. Okay, greater awareness among citizens leading to loss of public trust. Okay, political. See, commonsensical point मुझे बताओ कि when there is a scope of imposing Article 356, when the none of the party has the clear majority. Okay, if the party has the clear majority, there can't be, or it is very difficult to impose presidential government or the presidential this, right? So second, rise of stable governments at state levels. Example, full majority SP and SP governments. Then okay, so Mayati had the majority government 2008, then SP had the majority government. So had they had the majority government, it was very difficult to impose the presidential route. Or you can also talk about the mature coalitions. Okay, so judgment clarifying the limits will come into the legal factors. Aspiration of centralization of power will lead to imposition of presidential rule. What else? What are the other political factors? Yes. Restraint by president. Very good. So presidential activism. Right. Which president sent that recommendation? So President K.R. Narayanan. Returned status recommendation. President rule to in 97. Yeah. So along with the president, who is the other actor in governors? Right. If you have the example of one such governor, you can add that governor also. Okay. Third, role of governors. Again, example, the Tamil Nadu governor, Surjit Singh Barnala. Refused CENTOS directive. Okay. One more aspect is political aspect is the rise of cooperative federalism. Or cooperative competitive federalism due to LPG. Example, the Ayog. Okay. What else? Yes. Rise of pressure group who favor stability. Okay. If you have the example, then only you can give. Yes. What else? One again, say always remember politics and economics is always interlinked. Okay, so increasing the role of state in Indian economy post LPG reforms required stable governments at states. Okay. What else? One more aspect. बस जो मॉडल आंसर मैंने भेजा है ग्रुप पे या पोर्टल पे जो अपलोड हुआ है उसमें भी नहीं है ये पॉइंट. रोल ऑफ राज्यसभा एज सच कुछ है नहीं. क्या ही किया है राज्यसभा ने. क्या व्हाट एल्स थिंक. 2001 2002 2003 में क्या हो गया था. मीडिया स्क्रूटिनी ठीक है. दैट इज ऑल्सो द पॉइंट विच यू कैन इंटरनेशनल इमेज छोड़ दो. कुछ जीएसटी काउंसिल भी नहीं. स्ट्रॉन्ग रीजनल पार्टीज वी टॉक्ड अबाउट. एफआरबीएम ठीक है. इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट आ गया. आरटीआई भी नहीं. फॉल ऑफ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट्स कहाँ हुआ है. ऑल द गवर्नमेंट्स हैव फॉल this completed their terms. One, formation of new states or formation of smaller states, right? You had Telangana, you had Chhattisgarh, you had Jharkhand, right? So because of that there were stable governments. Both or the size of the state governments become smaller, and then clear majority in the remaining smaller states, right? So different ruling party at center and state leads to the increased frequency. So वो नहीं आएगा. ठीक है. So formation of smaller states. It used the size of big states like UP. This led to greater political stability. ठीक है. This, so these are the political factors. रोल ऑफ फाइनेंस कमीशन ठीक है. अगेन पेरिफेरल पॉइंट. उसकी वजह से फ्रीक्वेंसी तो कम नहीं हुई. ठीक है. देन you simply give a bit of counter argument. However, use of however it has not completely became a dead letter as seen in recently in past. ठीक है. Then you briefly give the way forward. Okay, you mentioned the committees. So the way forward is you mentioned the committee recommendations. Panchi Commission. So what Panchi Commission has suggested? Localized emergency. You're just limited to district or part of it. Then emergency or maximum time should be time of 3 months. And then you can give the Sarkariya Commission recommendations also. That's it. This will be your part of your conclusion. So this learn how you can combine your conclusion and the way forward. Okay, this is the one structure. So when we will see the history answers of Ishita Kishore, okay, she has used this very beautifully. So the conclusion plus way forward also you can combine. Okay, be clear? Now we will be moving to the this next chapter, which is federalism. Again, अभी तक हमने जो फिलोसॉफी ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के क्वेश्चंस किए थे, so उससे मैक्सिमम टू मैक्सिमम यू विल बी गेटिंग वन क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, बट फ्रॉम फेडरलिज्म you will be definitely getting 1 or 2 questions every year. Okay, so federalism is absolutely essential. इसमें all you have to do is remember the important aspects of the federalism. First of all, remember the division of powers. That is federalism, as in basically it is division of power. So you just need to remember division of power in terms of legislative powers, in terms of executive powers, and in terms of financial powers. Okay, so even if you remember this classification, फेडरलिज्म का कोई भी क्वेश्चन आपको बिल्कुल डिफिकल्ट नहीं जाने वाला. ठीक है, जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस क्लासिफिकेशन एंड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस रिलेटेड टू इट. जैसे विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू लेजिस्लेचर, वन इज 7th शेड्यूल. सेकंड, Article 249, where center can make a law on the state list based upon recommendations of Rajya Sabha. Third, to give or because of the international agreements. You can fourth, during emergency. With respect to executive, that is directions to the state. Second, administrative aspect में control of all India services. ठीक है, then central forces, central agencies, BCBI वगैरह. And with respect to the financial, one is devolution, that is based upon finance commission. Second, with respect to GST. Third is with respect to the borrowings. That's it. ये बस आप डायमेंशंस याद रखो. ठीक है, they can ask you a question on any one particular dimension. जैसे अगर यहाँ पे देखोगे, they have asked you a question on the agencies. This year in 2025 they had asked the question on the financial. ठीक है, you can also get a question with respect to, or I am expecting the question on this with respect to, though they have already asked, you can again get a question. Just if you see the questions, so whether the Supreme, the resolution of contentious issues regarding the distribution of legislative powers. Okay, so legislative powers, how do you think cooperation, competition, confrontation? Simply all you have to do is cooperation, competition, confrontation in legislative domain, executive domain, financial domain. Simply आपके पॉइंट्स बन जाएंगे. ठीक है, then centralizing tendencies, again this is with respect to the legal provisions, that is with respect to the legislative provisions. Then this is CBI, that is central agencies. Then the recent changes, and then way forward they have asked Baki Jammu and Kashmir, and this is with respect to the financial or the fiscal federalism. This is again GST. Okay, and then again financial relations. So अगर आप देखोगे तो majority of the questions, अब ये specific जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का है, this is with respect to the दिल्ली. ठीक है, अब ये तो ठीक है, this has been become irrelevant, ये तो current affairs based question है. This year you had a question on जम्मू एंड कश्मीर. ठीक है, but otherwise अगर आप देखोगे तो either one of these aspects they ask, either legislative, executive or financial relations. ठीक है, so that's why the answer writing framework also, when you write the answers, if the question is on the conceptual part, suppose what is cooperative federalism वगैरह ऐसे पूछा, the chances of it are very low. But in case if they ask you the question on any of such provision, you can start with the definition. Otherwise, for analytical question, the chances of which are the highest. So quote plus scholar. And the second, the current affairs based question. So what I am there, you give the contextual, that is you just mention the recent news. कि कोई भी big news हो with respect to the confrontation between the CM, any sitting CM and the central government, you can start with that, or you can start with any of the quote. ठीक है, specifically मैंने 3 different aspects use किए हैं, 3 different codes दिए. If the question is on the confrontational, that is the between the center state conflict, so with respect to conflict you can use Paul Brass. If they ask you cooperation, you can use Granville Austin, or if they ask you the mix of both, जैसे ये वाला क्वेश्चन है कि how far do you think cooperation, competition, confrontation, so basically they are asking about all the 3 aspects. There you talk about this. As per Rajiv Bhargava, Indian federalism is multi-layered federalism involving cooperation, confrontation as well as competition. ठीक है, सो तीनों एस्पेक्ट के मैंने दिया. मेन बॉडी जैसे एक अप्रोच तो मैंने अभी बताया, फंक्शनल अप्रोच, दैट इज क्लासिफाई एज पर लेजिस्लेटिव, एग्जीक्यूटिव, फाइनेंशियल. ठीक है, सेकंड इज द पैस, बट द मोस्ट रिलेवेंट इज द फंक्शनल अप्रोच. जस्ट रिमेंबर, जितने भी अगर टॉपर्स के भी आंसर्स देखोगे, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ देम हैव गिवन दीज ओनली. ठीक है, सो अगर आप देखोगे तो इश्यूज with respect to the financial issues, administrative issues, legislative issues. Okay, just remember these, that segment. Okay, and again, way forward में you just give the committee recommendations. Then second thing, the things that you need to remember is articles. So for example, you need to remember the proper classification. So majority of the question after the introduction, if the question is on the broader federalism, what you will be doing is Indian federalism or the division of powers, legislative. What are the articles for legislative division of powers? Executive, financial. Yes. What are the articles with respect to legislative division of power? Articles, not 244, it is 245 to 255. With respect to executive, 256 to 263. This is 268 to 293. At least remember these articles. This classification. This is given in the Lakshmikant. ठीक है, यही आपका इवेल्युएटर इम्प्रेस हो जाएगा. ठीक है, just mug it up, remember this article. Okay, and then conclusion, majority of the questions, majority नहीं, अब all questions, ये single conclusion रट लो. ठीक है, this is the from the article in Indian Express written by the former Chief Justice, this Chandrachud का ये quote है. Federalism is not a monolith. It is a dialogue between self-rule and shared rule. Both union and states are the creatures of constitution. They must act in synergy. So basically थोड़ा सा futuristic भी है, and this is way forward type also. ठीक है, that or second KSR Bombay, which held federalism as the basic structure. This is the second way. Otherwise use this quote. ठीक है, third, इसमें try to remember these. At least एक ग्रेनवेल ऑस्टिन डीडी बसु का ये याद रखो, सुई जेनरिक्स मॉडल, राजीव भार्गव का मल्टी लेयर्ड फेडरलिज्म. ठीक है, एंड देन दिस कॉसी फेडरल केसी वेयर. एटलीस्ट ये इतने याद रखो बस. ठीक है, this. Then one more important scholar that I have put, again जैसे देखोगे significance of the federalism I have classified under the pies: political, institutional, economic, social. Again asymmetric federalism. क्या asymmetric federalism का ये classification याद रखो. Vertical, that is between center and state. Again horizontal means between the states. Again उसको classify करो legislative, executive and financial. ठीक है, बस. And the again need and significance pies. Issues भी फिर से pies. This is the way forward committees. This is on your cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism के बस ये example से याद रखो. ठीक है, again issues आपकी pies. And this is the list of the recent issues. ठीक है, that we have compiled. And the way forward committee recommendations. Again, this is competitive federalism. The steps taken, the need of it, issues same रहेंगे. And this is fiscal federalism. Fiscal federalism पे I was expecting a question, that's why I asked in the FLT also, और वो आया भी था इस साल. So next year maybe you can get a specific question on the one of the aspect of the fiscal federalism. ठीक है, specifically GST पे वो पूछ सकते हैं, या फिर they can ask a specific question on the centrally sponsored schemes, CSS. ठीक है, 10 marker question can come. ठीक है, so for that just remember this data. ठीक है, then this is with respect to the office of governor. सिर्फ पावर्स गवर्नर के, जब भी नॉट ओनली गवर्नर बट किसी भी बॉडी के, प्रेसिडेंट हो, गवर्नर हो या कैग हो, ठीक है, कोई भी बॉडी करो आप, हमेशा उसके पावर्स पढ़ते हुए फर्स्ट और रिमेंबर द क्लासिफिकेशन, कैसे पावर्स क्लासिफाई किया. इट विल बी इजियर टू रिटेन और राइट ऑल्सो. ठीक है, सो पावर्स एंड फंक्शंस ऑफ द गवर्नर, एग्जीक्यूटिव, लेजिस्लेटिव, फाइनेंशियल, जुडिशियल. इतना भी याद रखोगे तो भी चलेगा. हर किसी के नीचे एक एक दो दो पॉइंट्स आराम से लिख पाओगे आप. राइट, देन इश्यूज, दीज आर द रिसेंट केस स्टडीज एंड वही these are the judgments and recommendations of the committees, and this is with respect to the president rule, article 356. Okay. यहाँ देखोगे तो we had already given the Supreme Court guidelines in SR Bombay judgment. Okay. This is interstate council. If they ask you on the institution aspect, interstate water disputes, Overall interstate border dispute, the overall almost all 7th schedule is also there. So overall all aspect of the federalism are covered. Okay. Now let's write one answer of the federalism. Then we will move on to the this. We'll write one answer of the emergency. Okay. Then we'll end today's session. On this particular topic, I'm not expecting a question now. ठीक है. So इसका model answer of this particular question I will upload in the group. ठीक है. अगर इसका आपको डिस्कस भी करना है this particular question, तो ठीक है, I will upload the model answer in the group. There is no need because this is not even in the news और एक current affairs based question था. ठीक है. Then yes, this. How far do you think cooperation, competition, confrontation have shaped nature of federation in India? Cite some recent examples to validate your answer. Yes. Again, a very simple question. ठीक है. So how will you write it? Yes. ठीक है. चलो. So I am giving you 7 minutes to write this particular answer. 3 का मीनिंग दोगे तो वही आपका आंसर खत्म हो जाएगा. ठीक है. So it is 7:06. You have time till 7:13. Start. Turn on your cameras, guys, please. Keep it on. You have 7 minutes. Start writing. I'm also writing the answer, but don't see my answer. Okay. Please stop. Chalo. So, how far? First of all, what you have to do is what they have asked. How far? So when there is a directive, how far? Okay. What is the framework that we use for how far? Yes. 60-40. That means we give argument in or argument in favor and against. Right? यही देते हैं ना in normal terms. Yes. We give arguments in favor and against. But in this particular question, in what favor you will be giving arguments or what against you will be giving arguments. Yes. So do you think the directive is relevant here? If they would have given the Indian federalism is shaped by cooperation, competition, federalism or confrontation, would this or in that case आपके आंसर अभी आपने जो लिखा है उसका स्ट्रक्चर चेंज होता क्या? नहीं होता. Right. So irrespective of the directive given in this question, आपका स्ट्रक्चर सेम ही रहेगा. ठीक है. अगर उन्होंने बोला होता कि डिस्कस how cooperation, competition, confrontation have shaped nature of federation in India, same answer रहता. ठीक है. So in the questions where, see, I call it a bidirectional question, where in the question itself they establish or they give the statement which has the contradiction. Okay, so when the question itself has the contradiction in it, the statement of the question, the directive doesn't matter. यहाँ पे कोई भी डायरेक्टिव आपको ये तीनों पे इलेबोरेट करना है. ठीक है, that. So ये again simple है. The first part of it introduction, and then you talk about cooperation, competition, confrontation. But जो मैंने अभी framework बोला with respect to legislative, executive, and financial, how many of you thought using that framework? Yes. How many of you thought using that framework and wrote the points? 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is the point of providing the answer writing framework? Okay, still good. Okay, right. So this is how you have to brainstorm. Okay, when I give you the framework, that is the purpose of answer writing. So when I ask you to write the answers, so you think from that perspective by using the framework. Okay, then only you will be able to write. Okay, now let's see the answer. First, as per Rajiv Bhargava, Indian federalism is the multi-layered structure involving. Again, what I have done is I have simply given the similar or the synonyms for these two. So rather than competition, I have used collaboration. Rather than confrontation, I have used conflict. And competition को मुझे पता नहीं था तो I use the competition. ठीक है? So as per Rajiv Bhargava, Indian federalism is the multi-layered structure involving collaboration, conflict, as well as competition. That. Then cooperative federalism, again आपको पता है cooperative federalism, competitive, confrontation. So cooperative federalism. How many of you wrote Grenville Austin? किसने लिखा है? किसने? Good. ठीक है, at least one is there. So Grenville Austin, and then GST Council, Niti Aayog, COVID-19 pandemic, you can give the examples. ठीक है. Competitive federalism, again, who has emphasized much upon the competitive federalism? The Prime Minister Modi. ठीक है, the term उन्हीं के आने के बाद से हो गया तो competitive federalism PM मोदी. So ease of doing business, rankings और investment summits, नीति आयोग indices, tourism branding. ठीक है, these are the 4. Then confrontation, which is called by Maurice Jones, who called India as the bargaining federalism. He is a political scientist. According to him, India is the example of bargaining federalism. I think it's not there into the model answer or into the notes. Just note it down. Then confrontation, you need to give the recent examples. So 3 language formula, opposition by the Tamil Nadu, farm laws, agriculture is the state subject opposed by Punjab, Haryana, governor state conflicts, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, fiscal federalism, delay in the GST compensation. ठीक है, ये हो गया. इसके बाद क्या करना है मुझे बताओ. Who has written something after this? Don't tell me way forward. इसके बाद there is still one demand of the question, and it is not we are going beyond the demand, but it is demand of the question. Okay, Aniruddha. Yes, you can. What have you written?
Sir, issues.
ये issues ही तो है, तो confrontation मतलब issues ही है. इसके beyond और क्या issues है? Confrontation involves issues.
So
The cooperation and competition involves significance. Sorry?
So delimitation based tensions and
So
tax devolution.
that can add it into the confrontation.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Kanjula, you can unmute. Yes. Read the question.
How they shaped federalism, sir.
Yes.
Their impact.
Yes, so these are just the examples. How far do you think cooperation, competition, confrontation, these are just the example, have shaped the nature of federalism? ठीक है, वो कहाँ बताया आपने? Where have you told how they have shaped the nature of federalism? ठीक है, so simple heading you give 3 C's shaping nature of Indian federalism. Yes. One, cooperation. How it had shaped the Indian federalism? Yes. How it had shaped, how cooperative federalism had shaped. वो तो एग्जाम्पल हो गया. I don't want example. I have already given the examples. How it had shaped. Stability of governance, you can say. Yes. But first, what is the objective of any government? Okay. So delivery of welfare measures. Second, progressive legislations. Again, think from executive, financial, legislative. So executive function क्या होता है? Delivery of welfare functions. So better delivery of welfare measures. Example अब दे दो कोई भी centrally sponsored scheme. जल जीवन मिशन दे दो. From legal perspective, legislative or progressive legislations. Example GST. Third, executive हो गया, legislative हो गया, financial. ठीक है, financial perspective से क्या लिखोगे? Pooling of resources. Example. या फिर economic perspective से you can talk about balanced regional growth. ठीक है. या ये दो ही लिख दो, तीन छोड़ो, ये रिफरल हो रहा है थोड़ा सा. ठीक है. सेकंड, competition. How competition has shaped Indian federalism? Effective policy formulation drives innovation. Good. Investment increased. ठीक है. Attract investment. ठीक है. So attracting. But again, ठीक है. Investments. And third, जैसे benchmark governance. ठीक है. Example, Kerala ranking in health and third, confrontation. How it has shaped the nature? Yes, first of all, it checks centralization. Right. Example, Tamil Nadu casing or Tamil Nadu position to be in position. Second, yes. What else? What else you can mention with respect to confrontation? Population in-depth scrutiny of policy. ठीक है. What else? CBI has caged parrot, वो तो negative इसमें जाएगा. What else? Simple now, keep bringing local regional issues to forefront. What is the example of it? Checks majoritarianism, check centralization, and one and the same. Yes. Raising local issues or bringing local issues to the forefront. What is the example of it? Please give me one example of it. Ensuring government accountability is there. Give me one example of this where the confrontation has brought the issue of local or regional issue at the forefront. Manipur नहीं, तेलंगाना स्टेटहुड भी नहीं, फार्म लॉज नहीं, वाटर डिस्प्यूट भी सेंटर स्टेट का नहीं है. यू हैव टू हाईलाइट सेंटर स्टेट इश्यूज. confrontation between center and states. Again, दिल्ली लद्दाख का भी दे सकते हो आप. लद्दाख यू कैन गिव. यस. जीएसटी कंपनसेशन हमने ऊपर यूज किया है. डोंट गिव इट. ठीक है. सो सदर्न स्टेट्स using terms of reference of 15th Finance Commission. ठीक है. Thus, and after that, again, election rolls is not the center state issue. So this is how it has shaped the nature of Indian federalism. ये part majority of the aspirants will miss. That is why again I am telling reading the question is the most important aspect. ठीक है. majority. अब सच बताओ कि ये वाला पार्ट किसने कवर किया था? Who had covered the second part? How many of you? Just raise your hand. Good. Yes, yes. 3, 4, 5. Very nice. Very nice. So by the time we end this or we end our program, okay, it will be 99% of you. So just remember how to decode the question. Conclusion, you can give the same conclusion, okay, which we have used. Federalism is not a monolith. Write with me. It is a dialogue between center, sorry, self rule and both must act in justice. ठीक है. This is your okay. Is it clear? Now, जो previous वाला टॉपिक था उसका जो क्वेश्चन एक बचा था, I'll just show it to you and you can attempt that particular question in as the assignment. ठीक है. So this was the question. Last, I will just take 2 to 3 minutes. ठीक है. Just 3 more minutes. It's 7:30. Okay, just 3 more minutes. So right to movement and residence throughout the territory of India are freely available to Indian citizens, but these rights are not absolute. ठीक है. Again आप देखोगे तो this is what I called as the two-way statement. ठीक है. और by directional statement. Yeah, forget about the directive. ठीक है. Right to movement is freely available but it is not absolute. अब यहाँ पे कोई भी डाल दो आप. Do you agree? Do you think? Comment, evaluate, elucidate, critically analyze. You add any directive. Okay, any directive you add, you have to elaborate upon both the aspect of given in this statement. So remember this, when there is a contradiction in this question, okay, forget about the directive, cover both aspects. Okay, first of all that. Second, कि as अब इसमें mistake लोग क्या करते हैं कि again the classification aspect. So you just remember the classification of the fundamental rights. ठीक है, so classification is right to equality, that is 14 to 18. Then you have liberty, 19, 20, 21. Then right against exploitation, 23, 24. Religious freedom and rights of minorities. That is your classification. So हर एक classification का एक कोड तैयार करके रखो, या फिर वन कोई भी, या फिर वो कॉमन ही रख दो कि right to liberty is provided under Indian Constitution or is provided under Part 3 of the Indian Constitution under Articles 19 to 22. ठीक है, that can be your introduction. या फिर you add one quote. अभी right to movement is part of, अब हर आर्टिकल का तो आप quote you can't prepare. So you prepare one of equality, one of liberty, one of against exploitation, one for religious freedom, one for minority rights. ठीक है, अगर वो भी पॉसिबल नहीं तो फंडामेंटल राइट्स का तो एक कॉमन मैंने दिया ही. अगर वो भी नहीं आ रहा है याद, तो सिंपली वो क्लासिफिकेशन दे दो. इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अंडर आर्टिकल और प्रोवाइड्स फॉर राइट टू लिबर्टी अंडर आर्टिकल 19 to 21 और 22 इन पार्ट अंडर पार्ट 3 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ये आपका पहला स्टेटमेंट बनाओ. एंड देन राइट टू freedom or right to freely movement throughout the country is part of right to liberty under article 19(1), जो भी आपका सेक्शन है डी. ठीक है, अब ये स्टैटिक क्वेश्चन है, यहीं पे अगर आप आर्टिकल 19 इंट्रोडक्शन में ही लिखोगे तो मेन बॉडी के लिखने को आपको कोई बचेगा ही नहीं. ठीक है, सो दैट्स व्हाई यू हैव टू बी स्मार्ट. सो रादर देन डायरेक्टली कमिंग टू द डिमांड इनटू इंट्रोडक्शन, वी टॉक अबाउट लिबर्टी. ठीक है, सो लिबर्टी मीन्स फ्रीडम टू डू एवरीथिंग which is injustice or which injures no one. ठीक है, so fair declaration of right of man. It is similar to the J.S. Mill concept of harm principle. ठीक है, so right to movement embodies this idea of liberty. एक similar introduction हमने कल भी दिया था, याद है? For one question we gave the similar introduction. And then we talk about constitutional provisions, 19(1)D, 19(1)E. Then however it is not absolute, as फिर वो reasonable restrictions बताओ. So reasonable restrictions under 19(1)(5), general public, scheduled tribes, 5th, 6th, security of state, public order, public health, inner line permit, state of UP, Supreme Court judgment, and then lastly foreigners can be deported. ठीक है, you note down these restrictions. Or you can simply take a screenshot. And then जैसे हमने फाइनेंशियल इमरजेंसी का भी किया था, ठीक है, that is analysis. Basically analysis as in we are providing the justification of the reasonable restrictions or justification of or significance of right of that particular right and the criticism. No, I am not going to send these notes. You have to write. That is the purpose of the class. Okay, you won't be getting any model answers. I won't be sharing the notes. Okay, you have to write. Trust me. You write answers with me and then you will see the difference in just 2 weeks. 2 weeks बाद you will tell me. ठीक है, again significance क्या है उसका? National integration, unity and diversity. Then the आपका movement किस लिए होता है? Because of economic reasons, जैसे urban migration. Then strengthens federalism, interstate migration. criticism क्या है कि again not absolute, it leads to exclusion from the tribal areas, unity and diversity का opposition. Economic का mobility का क्या है, regional tensions, son of soil movement. और strengthens federalism का opposite क्या है, identity politics, violence against migrants in the Gujarat. Right. Then conclusion, again, liberty is freedom but not license. And as if you see, question has given the contradiction, not absolute, but are freely available, not absolute. So our conclusion has to be balanced. Okay, because question is also highlighting both the dimensions. So conclusion also, forget about the quote. ये नहीं दिया quote तो भी चलेगा. So balancing individual freedom while safeguarding collective interest reflects balanced constitutionalism. Again, a simple word constitutionalism. इसी को बस colon करो, box करो. That's it. You forget about the quote. आपको quote याद भी नहीं रहा तो भी. But balancing liberty of individual with the interest of the state and general public ensures or reflects balanced constitutionalism. ठीक है? Is it clear? So you just note it down. Okay. So that's for today. How many questions did we did today? I think. How many questions? This is one. Not four. Come on. 4 से ज्यादा ही हो गया. This is one. This is second, constitution as a living instrument. This is third, right to privacy. This is fourth, financial emergency. Legal political factors 5 and federalism ka 6. Yes, we are getting there. So we have covered 6 questions. Day after tomorrow we'll cover 7. Gradually we'll get there. Because I also have to ensure your brainstorming capacity, no? So gradually it will improve. Okay, so those who have the doubts, I will take few doubts. जिनके doubts नहीं है, they can live. No, tomorrow, no class. We'll take day after tomorrow only. Just a second. Yes, Pratik.
सर ऍक्च्युली आम्ही ते उत्तरं लिहिलेलं म्हणजे जे वी वर रायटिंग सायमल्टेनियसली विथ यू पण काही काही पॉइंट्स मध्ये
No worries, no worries. Each and every part of the answers that I have written or the points are there into the notes. Yeah, don't worry for 1 or 2 points.
सर ऍक्च्युली ते फॉर एक्झाम्पल फायनान्शियल इमर्जन्सीचा क्वेश्चन आहे ना त्याचं मॉडेल आन्सर मध्ये फक्त जितकं प्रश्न विचारलं तितकंच आहे पण द अँगल्स दॅट वी डिस्कस इन द क्लास दे आर नॉट देअर.
हम एनालिसिस वाला पार्ट ऐड करून टाका ना. तेच पॉइंट्स आहे, सोपे पॉइंट्स आहेत ते.
If you could just send this PDF. आम्ही बाकीचे लिहिलेले प्रश्न म्हणजे
ठीक आहे, हे लिहून घे. Next class topic, it's the schedule and the topics are already given. Yes, today we uploaded to the all these, I think at around 1 or 2 p.m. Okay, yesterday as there was Dashera, we couldn't edit, but for day after tomorrow's lecture, the handouts will be uploaded tomorrow evening only. No, we don't have class tomorrow. We have on 5th. Okay, Tanmay, you can unmute and ask.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so firstly, thank you for this insightful session. I have a request to make. So since we are writing the answers along with you, after the answer, can you just pause for like 30 seconds and zoom out of the screen so we can just note down some of the points which we have missed?
ठीक है, I'll do it.
मतलब बस 30 seconds के लिए हम थोड़े से जो एक आध पॉइंट छूट जाते हैं बीच में उसको एक बार देख लेंगे.
Yes, that's fine. And don't worry about the content. I'm again saying. ठीक है, एक आध पॉइंट भी छूट गया तो नेक्स्ट टाइम मैं ही जब लिखूंगा तो मैं ही वो पॉइंट नहीं लिखूंगा, दूसरा लिखूंगा. कंटेंट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी एन इशू फॉर यू एट ऑल. यू जस्ट स्किम थ्रू द एक्सपेक्टर नोट्स. कंटेंट आपका इशू रहने वाला ही नहीं है. योर इशू इज गोइंग टू बी द प्रॉपर स्ट्रक्चरिंग ऑफ द आंसर एंड द प्रैक्टिस. ठीक है, बट
Thank you.
अगेन कि अगर एक कोई पॉइंट मेरा मिस हो गया तो आफ्टर द सेशन, ये डाउट सेशन में आप मुझे स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन बता सकते हो. आई विल टेक इट और वहां से आप नोट डाउन कर सकते हो. ठीक है. यस. रोहित.
Hi, sir.
हम्म.
My doubt is regarding the last question, competition, cooperation, and confrontation,
हम्म.
shaping federalism. So, won't it be better presentation if we club the shaping federalism aspect into the first part itself? Like if we are giving a COVID-19 example, won't it be better to say there itself how it is leading to a better
Yes,
service
you
delivery?
can do it. See, then your structure would be something like this:
Cooperation,
cooperation,
shaping federalism,
and
competition.
under it you can make a table: shaping federalism.
Example.
An example. Yes, you can do it this also.
Okay.
Got it. But see, what happens generally is for the 10 marker question, we generally assume that there should be two headings. And in
Oh.
15 marker question, generally there should be three headings. No. So that's why I segregated both of them so that we have two separate headings and the points. But this is also the structure that you can follow. This is also fine.
In your case, what was the heading you were giving to first part then?
First part, I'm not giving any heading. I have directly made these three as the headings.
Okay.
No, there is no need.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Okay. Rameshwaram. Yes, we'll continue with the federalism on Sunday. We'll do one or two questions of the next topic also. Yes. Rameshwaram, you can unmute and ask.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my doubt is about these expected notes. What if I rely only on these notes and prepare them like M. Lakshmikant and other standard books?
You have to rely on these notes only. Because see, forget about the other notes, forget about or even with the X factor notes. ठीक है, अब ये लिख के रख लो. आई एम नॉट सेइंग यू रिमेंबर ईच एंड एवरी पॉइंट गिवन इन द एक्स फैक्टर. वो पॉसिबल नहीं है, मुझे भी पॉसिबल नहीं है. दैट मच कंटेंट हैवी एक्स फैक्टर नोट्स इज. व्हाट आई एम क्लेमिंग इज दैट even if you retain just 30% of the X factor notes. Okay, so even if you retain 30% of the X factor notes, you will be able to write all the answers, okay, with these many dimensions coverage. So I'm not even saying ki remember X factor completely. I'm saying even if you are able to recall just 30% of the X factor notes, that's more than sufficient. Okay. Yes. Mona Lisa, you can unmute and ask.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, my doubt is that like the notes today were uploaded, 1 or 2 to 3 hours before. So what actually happened is that I was not able to go through the notes. And
Actually, yesterday was a holiday because of the Shera. So because of that, we couldn't upload yesterday. No. So
okay,
now as we have the lecture day after tomorrow, then by tomorrow evening, you will get the notes of the next chapter. Okay.
And sir, like one more thing I wanted to ask, like that, I mean, X factor notes are spanning into several pages, but when we are trying to answer a question, maybe like that portion we don't remember. So like, is it that will you be able to specify like in which session, which topic under a theme we will be doing so that we can focus on that area so that we will be in a comfortable position to write answer?
That schedule has already been given. Right, the entire schedule of the Smash PYQ is given. Even I have given the questions as well.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Soham. Again, notes making is up to you. Even if you highlight into expected, and do multiple readings of it, that is fine. Otherwise, whatever extra information you are getting, you add it into the answer writing framework itself and just revise those first 2 to 3 pages. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So we'll have a session day after tomorrow. We'll continue with the federalism, and I think the next chapter is related to parliament. Just check from the schedule. Okay. So federalism ke I think we are picking up the pace gradually with one. Okay, we have 10 questions of federalism, out of which one we have already covered. Okay, this one I will be uploading. So we have to do the 8 questions. Okay. Okay, guys. Sure. So we'll meet day after tomorrow. All the best.